Hey, Craig.
It's on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's on you, it's on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Craig.
I yelled that. Sorry to everyone's ears.
You did. I think you just blew out my my headphones. I've listened to some real loud music in these headphones, Craig, and I'm not sure anything has been that loud.
Yep. Welcome to, I'll try to keep it a more normal volume the rest of the way. Welcome to Podcast versus Everyone. I am Craig Powers. With me, as usual, is Jeff Newser.
Hello.
And Jeff, we have no WSU basketball to talk about, no WSU football games to talk about. We are in the new stretchers. WSU baseball,
Yes.
of course, they're playing right now. We'll talk about that later, because it should be, by the time we're done recording, the game should be over.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
And then
It's only the bottom of the seventh.
But there is basketball going on, and there are some things that we can glean from what has happened in the NCAA tournament that may be of importance to the Wazoo basketball program.
Yep.
And what I'm hoping for, Jeff, is that we're going to see a really good Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight.
Well, I mean, you and I heading into the tournament, we were texting with a mutual friend, and we were just like, this is primed to be a really, just kind of boring first round, maybe even a little bit boring second round. But then on the flip side, what you hope for is, like you said, the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight give you some really interesting, super exciting games, high quality games. And the reason why we were, as we talked about on text, that we were sort of thinking that, it might not be super exciting is, people, who are, more analytically minded than us, even who look at college basketball closer than we do these days. Like crunch numbers and are like, hey, according to KenPom ratings, right, which are efficiency ratings, adjusted efficiency ratings, like it was like the strongest 1 through 5 seed lines ever. And then the like 12 on down lines were like the worst ever, or close to it.
If anyone used KenPom to fill out their bracket, which I think most people do at this point, most people that at least, because you don't have to pay, you don't have to pay just to see the rankings.
Yep.
You notice that in the past, you'd see when it was obvious KenPom wasn't used at all in the rankings or KenPom like systems.
Yeah.
That you'd see some 12 seeds that were very close to 5 seeds.
Yeah.
Like you'd have
That's
a 12
why you got those
seed
upsets every year.
That was in the 40s and 50s, and a 5 seed that was in the 30s.
Yep.
And so they would on paper they weren't that far apart. This year the 12 seeds were all in the 80s, 90s, and then the 5s were all in the 20s and the teens. And so that's why that high point upset was really the only one we saw, and it took quite an incredible last 4 minutes of the game.
Well, and they also had to shoot. They also had to shoot 2/3 of their shots from 3, and make 40% of them in order to pull it off, which is cool, right? Like that's what March is all about.
And also, High Point is not your standard university as everyone's looked into it now. It's kind of this like very business focused.
I know everybody looks at it and goes, "Oh, super scrappy High Point," and then they look at it and go,
and then they
maybe not so scrappy.
They dumped probably more in NIL into their team than we did this year. A lot of teams
they for sure did. They for sure did.
And
like probably about 3 to 4 times as much.
And all that got them like they're in the 80s in Ken Palm, and they got an upset in the NCAA tournament. But it took all that, like for them to do that. Outside of that, the only, the 10s and 7s were close, and the 8s and 9s were close. Even the 6-11s, like a lot of them, weren't that close. But then you have a team like Texas that gets in there, who's obviously from a major conference, and a lot of 11s were from major
little old
conferences.
plucky Texas with Sean Miller as their coach.
But yeah, if you look at like the rankings, like Vanderbilt is currently at 11 after losing, and they were a 5 seed. They're 11th on Ken Palm, which would expect you to be a 3 or a 4 seed. And but I will say it's very clear that the committee is using things like this not only to look at what teams to let in, but they're looking at how to seed the teams.
Yes,
because they've fall along, and that is a big factor too, is why you don't see as many upsets, because the committee isn't making dumb matchups.
Yes,
like
Yep.
they may have
Those
been
are
in
my
the past, like where we saw like
Yep.
one year was like Gonzaga and another mid-major in like an 8-9 matchup, and they were both in the top 15 on Ken Palm. You will never see that again. Like you're never
I
going
don't
to see
think
that
so.
again.
I mean, the committee. So my theory on the chalky first couple rounds is really it's those two things. It's one, what you just said. I think that nobody ever wants to give the committee any credit whatsoever for anything, which I understand. Like over the years, they have not earned, any any benefit of the doubt. Plus, it's it's always more fun to shit on the people in charge, right? Like this is why you're gonna nobody ever wants
Just
to
in
hear you
general.
compliment a referee or whatever. Like it's like, come on, man. Like we want to complain about it. But I think the fact is, like you said, the committee has they've got better information and they're using it, right? So net, came into play 7 years ago, but has gradually, I think, picked up steam in terms of, looked at as something that is actually representative of team quality, right? Where, which is honestly what it should be. And then you sort of combine that with familiarity, right? So like, I mean, you and I started looking at Ken Palm stuff. I mean, I started looking at Ken Palm stuff before Cougs Center even started in 2008. Like I was looking at it when I had a dumb little WordPress where I just wrote about WSU basketball during the, Tony Bennett era. And, like back then, I mean, talking about things like, well, first of all, Ken Palm, like how many people knew that? Not very many. Talking about things like some of efficiency stats or rebounding percentage or whatever. I mean, these are things that were every time I wrote about it, I would have to explain what it was, right? And we had to do this at Cougs Center. We'd write about it, and then we'd have to put in a little rebounding percentages, or we'd figure out clever little phrases. I still use some of these they grabbed this percent of their own misses rather than saying offensive rebounding percentage, right? But these things are way more in the mainstream now. If you watched any of the games, over the weekend, you heard some, I mean, even Steve fucking Lapis, right? Like, not like Steve Lapis, a bad guy or anything. Like, he seems like an extremely nice guy, but he's an old school coach.
Yeah.
And even Steve Lapis was talking about turnover percentage and rebounding percent. And I'm like, shit, man, we have really hit the mainstream with all this stuff. So the committee is obviously much more comfortable using that. This was the first year they had access to wins above bubble. As a ranking system, or as a resume system, and I won't get too deep into the weeds for our listeners about what wins above bubble is actually how it's calculated. But basically, it's theoretical bubble team. How many games are you above or below what a theoretical bubble team should win? Right. So in theory, this is a resume metric. Miami of Ohio was the ultimate test of that because they went 31-0 and then lost in their conference tournament. But their net ranking and their Ken Palm was pretty low, in the 90s, I think, 91 or something.
A lot of close wins over not good teams.
But their wins above bubble, because they won so many games, their resume metric was off the charts. It was ranked 30 something, so they end up in the first 4, acquit themselves very well. According to wins above bubble, every team made it into the field except for one. The only team where they swapped someone out, they put SMU in and they dropped Auburn out. Otherwise, they basically took all of the teams ranked in order of wins above bubble. Now, they didn't necessarily use it for seeding. They seem to use net a little more for that, but it's like they're just doing a better job putting the good teams up top and the bottom team and the worst teams at the bottom, which of course is how it's supposed to be, right? But it also sort of eliminates some of the stuff we were talking about. And then I think the other thing, of course, the big elephant in the room is the distribution of talent, right? Like, and I think what you see is, like football, where now, we went through so many years where all of the talent was concentrated with like a couple of programs, like 2 to 3 programs, right? Like you could do the 14 playoff. You knew who was going to win, basically, who the two best teams were. Usually the semifinals were trash, like didn't really matter. Well, then, now we've got a situation where we're enough years into NIL where the talent is sort of like filtering down. Now it's still not top to bottom. But instead of being concentrated in 2 or 3 teams, now you're talking like 6, 7 teams in football, or in basketball, like 15, 16 teams. And so when you kind of put all that stuff together, you get this real top heavy situation. Hopefully what that means is, like you said off the top, that as we go into this weekend, we'll get some really, really good quality matches. I mean, right now, what do we got? 14 of the top 17 teams on KenPom are still left. The only teams that are out are Florida, number 4, 11 Vanderbilt, 15 Gonzaga. 15 Gonzaga is out. Gonzaga. And then after that, the only 2 teams that are left are number 22 Iowa, number 31 Texas. And honestly, that's also pretty close to where those teams were before so this reflects, winning some games against good teams. But even before the tournament, it was like 14 of the top 18 teams on KenPom. Survived.
Iowa was 24 and Texas was 33 before the tournament. So it's not, not really, like that's basically where they were. And so, you're talking like the only one that's like really crazy is the 31 at Texas. You don't have a, not even a Sweet 16 in the 60s or, we've seen them in the hundreds.
Right. We've seen
before.
some crazy stuff. Yep.
But like FGCU and things like that, St. Peter's, stuff like that, where they
Loyola,
obviously jumped
Chicago.
up because they won. Yeah, Loyola,
Sister
Chicago.
Jean.
Yeah, but so this and honestly, it's not even just the seedings; it's the conferences.
Mm-hmm.
It's entirely ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Big East, and SEC.
Yep.
That's it.
There are 0 teams left
conference.
from the non-top 5 conferences.
There's no Mountain West. Mountain West is often getting Sweet 16 in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Pac-12 didn't exist this year. No Pac-12 team in there. No, and then no other
WCC,
no Horizon or Summit.
WCC
or
put 3 teams into the tournament.
Yep,
as top 10 seeds, and none of them made it to the Sweet 16.
Yep. So this is a very top heavy, as you said. A lot of big names that they were, the committee obviously put a lot of those names in the same bracket, trying to create matchups. And but obviously you're still looking like, if it was hard not to be pretty chalky on when picking this. I mean, I picked Houston just because they were a top 4 team. So to me, it was like picking one of the other 1 seeds.
Sure.
But 2 is just, at least I had someone I want to win. I can root
you
for.
be happy about Houston winning Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, because, Michigan, Arizona, Duke, whatever. Like, Illinois is up there. But they're a 3 seed, but they're also 6th on KenPom.
Yeah.
Like, it's, Iowa State, 2 seed. So, basically, of the seeds that are not top 4, you only have Tennessee, a 6 seed, and St. John's, a 5 seed, Iowa, 9, and Texas, 11. So only 12 of the 16 are outside of the top 4.
Yeah.
So there was a ton of chalk, but again, like you said, like we're setting up for just incredible matchups. Really high level basketball this weekend. Like it should just be, there should be some incredible games this weekend.
And we got
Um,
high-level basketball with still a couple of Wazoo alums, right? Still playing. Dylan
oh
Darling,
man,
man, how about that, right?
yeah,
Like
that
how
was
fucking cool was that?
really cool. I mean, either you might be rooting for a former Wazoo kid, or maybe you're from Spokane. You're seeing a guy who dominated in Spokane,
Yeah.
having some national success. He had been struggling so bad for several games going up to that offensively, and they ran this kind of fake action to get him either the screen would actually work, or he just blew right by the guy and made a lay-in with his right hand, by the way.
And his only
Um,
bucket of the game.
his only bucket of the game. The fact that once it got in crunch time, I'm like, holy crap, like Dylan Darling is playing in crunch time in a
I
round of
know.
32 games,
For
like
fucking
a
St.
5
John's,
versus
right?
4 for St. John's, for Rick
Rick
Pitino.
Pitino.
Like, this is
Uh-huh.
crazy.
I know.
And so happy for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a Coug and a Coug legacy.
Yeah.
Um, so
Didn't
really
work
cool
out
for
for
him.
us, but good for
Yeah.
him. Like
Yeah.
for folks who don't know, by the way, he was at Wazoo for 2 years, struggled pretty bad. Had a hard time seeing the floor, had some injuries too, I think.
Yep.
And then went to Idaho State last year and just blew up, was like, player of the year in the league, was incredible. Transferred again, went to St. John's, and here he is. He's kind of been in and out of the starting lineup. I guess he was in, then he was out, and now he's back in the starting lineup. But he's been struggling a little bit. I think that Rick Pitino is a pretty good coach, I think. So he sees, Darling's ability to defend. He's that was something Kyle Smith saw for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, when he played for us, when he got on the floor, it was because of his defensive ability. I don't know, man. It's just like super cool. Like, I know there's a temptation for, some of our fans maybe to be like, how could we let that kid get away? His own dad is like, how could you let him get away? I understand that, but also like he was awful. He was awful for us. He was really, really, really awful.
Yeah. He
Like for me, I'm just
couldn't
like,
hit
I'm happier
shots.
that, yeah, like, I mean, I know that like, unless you're like, steeped in, analytics or whatever, this probably isn't going to mean a whole lot, but his offensive rating as a freshman, when he played about 20% of the minutes on that season, his offensive rating was 71, which is like approximately,
It's worse than Marcus Capers when he
yeah,
was a
like,
freshman.
I mean, Adria Rodriguez was hanging out in that area for a while this year and finished, I don't know, 95 or something.
And that very similar to even Darling, because Darling wasn't hitting any outside shots, and he was
Yes.
turning the ball over a bunch, and that's
Yes.
exactly what Adria
Yep.
wasn't hitting shots, and he
Yep.
was turning the ball over a bunch.
Yep. Yeah. So
And then also I think Dylan was just never getting to the free throw line. But
yeah, he was just
yeah,
he looked like he was just struggling with his
so
confidence
yeah,
a little bit.
it's not really a one that got away situation. It's a one that needed a new
Yeah, he needed a
situation.
new environment. Yep. And then he
And-
went and he reset. He blew up, and now he's in the Sweet 16. So good for him, man.
And
I'm
you
pumped for him.
you could say very similar things for Oscar Clough.
Yep. Yep.
Who was good at times at Wazoo, really struggled to stay on the floor at times against certain matchups.
Mhm.
And so he obviously, I don't think Riley was thinking of keeping him or anything. I'm not sure how that worked. Obviously Riley had his own bigs that he was bringing in. But it would have been nice to have him last year. But
Would have been.
just because we need rebounding, it would be nice to have him
Mhm.
this year. If we have rebounding, would be
Mhm.
fantastic. So he went to South Dakota State, blew up there, was one of the best rebounders in the country.
Mhm.
Low post scoring, dominates that league, and then he goes to Purdue,
Which is perfect
perennial
for
top
him, by the
10
way.
team. Yeah,
Like that
I mean,
is an old school, like 2-point centered offense. Like
Matt Painter is a
super
center
cool.
whisperer. Like
Yes.
you definitely want to play center for him.
Yep.
Like yeah, so like and he has excelled there. He's a
Yep.
huge reason why they are as good as they are, why they're
He's
in
got-
the Sweet 16.
Got the number 2 offensive efficiency in the country. Like we just said, by the way, Dylan Darling's offensive rating was 71, which basically means like 0.7 points per possession when he's using a possession. Oscar Clough is number 2 in the country in efficiency, double that, 144.3. So like basically it's every time he does something, it's 1.4 points, which is kind of like mind blowing when you think about like what it would take to score essentially 1.4 points per whatever you do.
You can't miss very often.
He's 69% on his twos,
Nice.
which is just absurd. That's 30th in the nation. He's the number 5 offensive rebounder in the country. He's special, man. I love him. I'm so excited that he's doing well. These are both guys that, would we have loved to keep him? Yeah. When Darling left, honestly, I was bummed. Like I was like, I could see it. Like I can see what they saw, right? But like, okay, so bummer.
bummed that like you were also bummed that like he never played well enough to like get more minutes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, yeah, but you definitely could expect him to do better at, Idaho State, and he did. What I didn't expect is then he would come back up and be in a power program, but he did, and he is he's going to be in March highlights for the rest of his life, for the rest of eternity. He is going to be in March highlights because there are not a ton of straight up buzzer beaters that happen.
Yeah.
They happen once every few years. There's like one comes up. Like it doesn't happen very often where it's literally clock hits 0, ball goes through the net. And he has one of them now.
Yeah. And at St. John's, right? Like they're going to play that clip over and over and over in Madison Square Garden. Like,
I couldn't believe how long it had been since St. John's was in the Sweet 16. That was crazy. It had been since 1999.
I don't know the answer to that. How long?
It was 1999.
Holy shit! I was still in school. That was my senior year.
And you just think people around, in their 40s like us, Jeff, they think of St. John's as a basketball school.
Yeah.
And they hadn't been in that long, not in this millennium.
Yeah, that's wild.
Not been to the Sweet 16. WSU's been to the Sweet 16 in this millennium.
That's true. More recently than St. John's. Well, not anymore, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, so that was cool. So is that all that's left? Yeah. All the Cougs left. Obviously Florida lost to Iowa. So Ruben's out.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech lost. So
Lawan's
Watts is out.
Yeah,
but
Texas Tech
not
didn't
crazy
just
that
lose.
three players off that WSU tournament team that were all not major players. Like Oscar would have been the biggest player,
right?
But he even was like not he wasn't in the finish the game lineups.
No, he was like
that.
15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
minutes.
He would start, and then it would be kind of be like, how's he doing against this team?
Right? Is he struggling to defend that kind of stuff?
But then you had Rube, who was him and Clough essentially at times split minutes, and then you had Dylan, who was largely hurt, I think, for most of the season, but probably wouldn't have seen much floor time anyway. And now they're all three are key contributors to big very good teams. Just shows you how freaking stacked that roster was.
I know.
And you have guys that played in the NBA, and I
have heard that maybe Kyle Smith and his staff, that they might have an eye for talent. I'm just gonna throw that one out there that Kyle, and John, and Jim Shaw, those guys. I think they know what they're. I think they know what they're looking at. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the tournament. I'm Jeb. I think you have Duke in your bracket.
I do. I picked Duke just largely because the metrics love them. I know they had some injuries. Those guys might be back. If they come back, I think Duke is still the best team. But if those guys don't come back, I mean, it's Ken Palm clearly has 3 teams at the top that are a cut above everybody else, and they are kind of like all neck and this is wild, by the way.
Yeah,
Michigan, Arizona, Duke, their net rating. Michigan, Arizona's net rating is identical, which is highly, highly, highly unusual, especially at the top. And then Duke is number 3. They're like 0.02 efficiency margin behind those two. You
which
got 3
is
teams rated basically the same.
how much you would expect them to be an average. I believe it's an average Division I team over the course of 100 possessions.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
So
that's
like
basically
the
it.
number 180 KenPom team over 100 possessions, which is 1.5 games roughly.
Yep.
You would expect them to beat these teams by 37 points, which is not the top teams are not always that high.
No, these
'Cause
are like
even
the
like
best
what
top teams in years.
Yeah, and like Houston even at 34 plus 34, Illinois at plus 33. These are really good teams. Houston's just been fun to watch. Their style of play is insane. It's slow but fast at the same time.
Yeah.
It's aggressive, and yeah, they're just they're fun to watch. It should be they have the type of team that can cause trouble just because they're so weird, but
Yeah.
also can lose to a team that's worse than them because they're so weird.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
always
look,
a different.
college basketball is better than ever, which I think is kind of what you're referring to. I mean, I think people sometimes are like, college basketball, all right. Where are my fundamentals? Which is insane because they are actually more fundamental than ever. Turnover rates are the lowest they've ever been. Free throws are the highest they've ever been. 3-pointers are the high, like, I don't know, man. That's skill, right? And just to sort of add a little more context to what you were saying about like just how good the teams at the top are, even Houston, right? In 2009, right, which was Tony Bennett's last season at WSU, North Carolina was the number 1 team in the country on KenPom. Their efficiency, their net rating was plus 31. Okay. This season, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams better than that. Like the Purdue at 8 would be the number 1 ranked team in 2009. So Houston would be the number 1 ranked team in 2009. Like, so these teams at the top are really, really good, which is why, like, for me, like, you talk about Houston, what you like about them. I think you have to be a little bit of a basketball sicko to kind of love what Houston does, right? Because they're so unorthodox. One of the things they do is they rely on twos, but not close twos. They take lots of mid-range twos. It's the most bizarre, like,
Well, it's because and it's fine because they crash the glass.
Yes. It's like we're
But then
gonna
somehow
brick a 12-footer and then we're gonna go get the rebound.
and I think that's like it's weird, but somehow they don't give up a lot of transition buckets. They
Yeah.
lock down defensively. They make teams play really long possessions on defense.
Yep.
And like you said, they have long possessions on offense because they're you said to me because they're getting so many offensive
Yeah.
rebounds, it's making their possessions longer.
Yeah.
They're such a weird team. Like they're so weird. That's why they're
Yeah.
fun to me. They're fun
Just
to watch. They're not
delightfully
very
weird.
tall, like, but they're long. Like they got
Yeah.
a lot of like guys with long arms, like 6'8" guys with really long arms.
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
they're just crazy to watch. And just there's a lot of just really stacked teams that are stacked with talent. Teams
Yeah.
that would win the national title in many other years
Yep.
that are going to crash out in the Sweet 16 this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a wild weekend.
I think so if you're talking Houston as a one of the non-1 seeds that you think could go win it, my pick would be Iowa State. Like they to me they are probably the scariest team that I don't want to say nobody's talking about. I mean, they're 2 seeds, so it's like it's a little disingenuous to say nobody's talking about them. But when people talk about the favorites in the tournament, they're definitely not generally mentioning Iowa State. I think some of that is like pedigree, right? Even though Iowa State's been a really strong program for honestly, like if you went and looked at Iowa State's history, I think most casual fans would actually be shocked, like at how good that program has been for like going on basically 30 years. It is kind of insane how good they've been. And so when people talk about, oh well, okay, you got the 1 seeds, whatever. Everybody knows they have a chance to win. But then when they talk about others, they talk about Houston because Houston's been there. They got a great coach. Talk about Purdue, it's sort of a name brand, right? Painter's very familiar. Michigan State, you got Izzo, right? They start talking about like the coaches, right? Like we know there's a love affair with coaches. You got UConn, right? Because Dan Hurley has won a couple of championships, right? Nebraska is the darling. Fred Hoiberg was one of those great coaches at Iowa State, right? Okay, Iowa State, to me, like they're ranked number 7. I think they're just kind of hanging out in the weeds here. Like their defense has always been so good, as we found out 2 years ago, right? Where we had this great offense and like we could barely get off a shot, which I know you witnessed in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this year is the first year where they've kind of got the offense, to match it. Now the key is going to be they're without their best player right now, and I think maybe that's also why he turned his ankle in the first 3 minutes of a 40-point blowout in the first round. But I think there's a feeling he's going to play this weekend. He's one of the best players in the country. If he plays, then watch out for Iowa State for real, because I think this is the first year where the offense maybe I think is maybe not quite as good as the defense, because their defense is insane, but it's good enough to prevent like the stubbing their toe that they seem to sort of always do. So yeah, like Iowa State a lot. Is there anybody else that's kind of on your radar? Arkansas, maybe best player in the tournament.
Definitely the best player in the tournament. One of the best offenses, and
with Acuff, right? Darius Acuff.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about at the same time. Historically, you think of the women's bracket as being the more chalk bracket and the more top heavy programs, but the women's Sweet 16 it looks a little less chalky. Like it's still pretty chalky, but that UVA was a bit of a surprise.
Oh my God, that game was fucking incredible.
Yeah,
double overtime winning at Iowa.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, and then so getting a 10 over a 2, which is something. Obviously, the men bracket had a 9 over a 1, so that's always a huge one. That's something that happens less often than the 2s losing, is the 1s losing. So that's crazy, but they're kind of like both like the same level of chalky, and you're kind of used to the women's bracket being the super chalky one, and I picked it kind of like that, and my women's bracket has done way worse than my men's bracket.
Oh yeah, I went like super chalk in the women's bracket, going like, oh yes, this is how it always goes. And like my women's bracket is horrible.
But yeah, you have but yeah. So I think I picked UCLA in there. That's another Wazoo. Former Wazoo player, Charlize Ledger-Walker, who's their starting point guard, definitely has a shot at winning a national title, which I'm feeling a little weird about, to be honest.
I guess I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I guess. The place where her WSU career ended, where
oh my God,
they were at the peak of their game as a team, and
then it all
fell apart.
I saw this post on Blue Sky where it was like so UCLA has basically collected all of the best players from the old Pac-12. Like that's basically what they did, was they got every team's best player and like brought them down to UCLA. And it was like this picture of them after winning the Big Ten tournament. And it was like basically one of the players said like, like, I don't know, Pac-12 represent or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I mean, I'm not like actually mad at him, but I just want to be like,
the players, it's not their fault, but still, it's like,
I know it's not their fault, and I know it's fine. I get what they were saying, but also I'm like, spare me, man, spare me that stuff. Like I even have a hard note. Like Charlize brought us so much joy, so I have to like, just sort of grit my teeth and smile and be happy for her. But it's just a reminder of how shitty everything else is. Which
it feels different than like Clough and
and
Darling, because they were just like bit players. So you're like, okay, you went and found success somewhere else. But now Charlize is just being one of the 12 all-stars like on this UCLA
The
team.
12 players who would start on
And
any other
running
team in the
point,
country.
which she basically did at Wazoo half the time, and you could just see that like that's her path to pro ball.
Yes.
is a point guard a lot because of her size, and also I always thought she was a phenomenal passer at WSU. She just didn't. She just was the one taking the shot most of the
If
time.
Crystal hadn't been there, she would have been running the point.
I mean, but yeah, and then Crystal was only there for the first 2 years, and then
Yeah,
she was basically running the point
that's
after
true.
that.
Yeah.
But then you had a couple other players handling the ball, but you know she would kind of, even if she wasn't to run the point, she would run the offense.
Yeah.
But so obviously she had those skills. She's a great passer, great ball handler, great outside shooter. So, but yeah, and to be honest, I haven't watched many of their games this year. Any of their games?
No
this
interest,
year?
man. I got no interest. I mean, I guess this would be like if Clay had left us in 2011 and gone to Duke or Kentucky
UCLA.
or whatever. Well, hopefully not UCLA because they suck. But it's like like I said, Kentucky probably is the best one. With Calipari down there. If he had just gone to Kentucky, he would have been one of of their 8 players who are all going to go to the NBA, and that would have been hard to swallow, man. Like watching that guy, watching someone like that go. So anyway, I hope she wins.
This
I mean,
is what
great.
our
I hope
Cougs
she's happy.
podcast is talking about.
Talk about people who
former
aren't
Cougs
Cougs
players
anymore.
on other teams.
I mean, if we
having
want, we could talk
fun.
about Cougs who were on the team this year who aren't going to be on the team next year.
Yep.
I mean, we can talk about that if you want.
Maybe
some of that news is starting to come
future Dylan Darlings of the world.
Maybe.
So we know
Parker
for sure,
Garrett's come on down.
Yeah, Parker Garrett's come on down. we know for a fact that Emily Yaleho is in the portal. Emmanuel Ugbo, which is not surprising.
Well, yeah, I mean that was
kicked off the team.
I think he had been asked to leave a while ago. So
yeah, and then
that's any surprise.
Case why not? A bit of a surprise.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean injured this year.
Yeah.
Really didn't make much of an impact as a freshman either. And then it's like, okay, so we also know we're losing Adria, right? So right now what we know is we've lost. Yalaho is gone.
Going to play pro ball in Europe.
Yep. So we know. Go ahead.
And he was a long shot to get another year anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, notably, no word yet on Ace Class, even though we're all assuming, right? And by the way, worth noting, portal not actually officially open.
Yeah.
So this is more like announcement of intention for folks if they want to do it. The portal doesn't open until after the tournament's over. So
and we know that coaches will ask players to tell them, give them a deadline to say, are you going to go or not?
Some folks get encouraged to go.
That
does happen also.
Yes.
It's a little more one of the distasteful parts of college basketball, but it is a thing that happens. But yeah, no word on Ace, no word on ND, no word on Tomas, no word on Morton, no word on Vavers. Although Vavers was funny, like Vavers said, somebody reported that Vavers was going, and then Vavers was like fake news, and then nothing else has happened since. So that's an interesting one. And then we know, like I said, we know that you mentioned Ugbo. We know he's gone for obvious reasons there. Simon Hildebrandt, he's graduated, so he's gone. So it's, we're kind of up in the air a little bit on some of these things. I will say that, the number one thing that Dave Riley may have had going for him into next year was some continuity. I'm honestly a little surprised that Yalaho is leaving. Not because of anything other than just like, I don't think he's that good. Like, I think, do I have to say that quiet? Like, I'm not trying to like shit on a guy, but also like, he's okay, right? He's a good shooter. He's definitely a good shooter. Really nice floor spacer. But he's just an okay rebounder. He's an okay defender.
Not a great shot creator,
not a great shot creator, turns the ball over quite a bit for a big,
especially when he tries to create shots.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So and his 2-point percentage is really terrible for a big, like
For
it's
a 6'8".
55%. So
for a 6'8", 240-pound guy.
yeah. So like I'm just kind of looking, going like, okay, he spent 2 years at Texas Tech, didn't play much there, came up here, played a ton, obviously, started almost every game, played a ton of minutes. So I guess I would have thought that, yeah, he probably would have been pretty happy with his role here and whatever. But maybe he thinks he's getting a payday somewhere.
And
I don't
it's
know.
one of
I'm
those
trying to
things, like,
imagine.
he's the type of player that contributed to the things that frustrate with he definitely like had some great offensive games and he knocked down 3-point shooter when he's open.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a guy essentially playing the 4 who couldn't rebound.
Yeah. Doesn't give you any
And
rebounding.
he's just not giving you any rebounding. And that's a huge issue for this team, and pretty undersized if you're going to go, especially next year. In the new Pac-12, he's going to be he would be a very undersized 4. Not saying that Dave can go out and find someone bigger, is going to find someone bigger or find someone better rebounding. Don't know. Don't have a ton of faith in that. But
Why not, Craig?
I don't know.
Let's talk about that. Why don't you have a lot of that? No, let's not talk about that again.
Yeah, we've already. It's going to be beating a dead horse at some point.
Yeah.
It's probably been good that we weren't consistently recording throughout the basketball season.
Would have been a lot of repetitive podcasts.
Yeah. But yeah, like a guy like that, like, yeah, there's some guys on the team, and I know I've seen this kind of opinions in the Slack chat as well, with our subscribers, is like there's a lot of guys on the team where you're like, okay, they're leaving. Like,
Yeah.
yes, they were one of our best players, but also,
Yeah.
they seem entirely replaceable. Now
Yeah.
the guys, we've talked about this, obviously guys that are hurt to lose, obviously Ace, but you've already written that off.
Yeah.
Months ago.
Yep.
And but Rehard's Favors, that is one where there is potential he could stay, and it would be really nice if he did.
Yeah.
Because he would be in line for having a real good season next year.
Yeah. He'd become a much higher usage player, I think.
ND, if he had more help in the front line, maybe a player that was a little more dynamic next to him.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a really nice piece. We'll see if he sticks around. But other than that, like, yeah, like, are you like? I know we've talked about like Adria. Yeah, he could have become something more, but also at the same time, you're like, you would be hoping for a big step up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even at his best, he was going to be a very low usage point guard that you're hoping plays real nice defense and
maybe hits an open shot once.
Maybe
in a while.
hits, which that would be a big change.
Yeah,
maybe takes an open shot once in a while.
Yeah. I think like when so your point that like basically everyone's replaceable is true. Is 100% true. Like Dave Riley could go out and basically flip the entire roster and maybe end up with a better roster. Like I think that's entirely possible. Obviously Ace is the one guy who you're like, you're probably not replacing him like for like, because he's a special player. I don't know. Maybe Dave uses that as, proof of concept with another high school player.
And I'll say, Favors is the type of player that we have not seen a lot of in this program in the 2 years that Riley has been here, in that he is obviously a self-motivator, plays extremely hard all the time, plays really, doesn't see, it would often seem at times when everyone was playing poorly, when things went bad for the team as a whole, he would be trying to pick them up. I mean, this is all like reading, into things.
armchair psychology stuff.
But
Yeah.
still, like, he just seems like the type of player that could be a good leader
Mm-hmm.
for a new team.
Yeah.
And so that's why that he's a player that'd be tougher to lose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I do think, like, with him, to me, like, I think it comes down to, like, what does he like what kind of role does he want to be in next year?
Yeah.
So he'll be a senior. So this is last year. So he's got to decide, like, okay, so if he stays at Wazoo, he's probably going to become a high usage type player. He'll have an opportunity to score, 16 to 20 points every night. He's going to get more shots than just spot up threes. Like, we saw flashes of that this year. And so there's a lot of confidence here, but he also started to, like not just the spot up threes, but he complemented that with some drives where we were like, holy shit,
Right.
like, I didn't know you could do that, because you didn't do that at all last year. And so, like, there's a thought that, like, kind of like you said, you can tell he's a guy who works on his game. He's a guy who works hard. I think there's reason to expect that his game will develop even a little bit more between now and next season. So he could become a little bit higher usage guy. I'm not sure he's ever, if you don't drive to the rim a lot, it's pretty tough to get up there like 28, 29% usage. But he could definitely be like a 25, 26% usage guy, score, like I said, 16 to 20 points a game. I think all of that is within the realm of possibility for him if he stays. If he goes to a higher level program, like, I really think he becomes a guy who is, sort of I mean, maybe he plays 25, 30 minutes a night. I'm not saying he can't play 30 minutes a night, but he's probably more like essentially what he kind of was with us, which is like a 20% usage guy, spot up threes, opportunistic twos, things like that. But mostly he's going to be out there as a floor spacer. So is that what he wants? Like, is that what he thinks is best for developing his game? And I can see both. Like, I can honestly see, you stick around here, you really develop your game as a guy who's sort of a focal point of the offense, or you go somewhere and you play on a winning team and have a ton of fun and make more money and, whatever there. So I can see both ways. I hope he stays. He's like you said, he's probably the one guy you don't want to try to, the one other guy you probably don't want to try to replace just because he does seem on the verge of being very, very good. But the rest of it, like you said, it's, a lot of guys can be replaced. The only downside to that is, in a college basketball world where continuity is so low all over the place. Like, we were talking about this on the Slack the other day, but, like, I mean, you look 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, I was kind of looking back, and it was like, okay, the average team in the country had 50% minutes continuity from one year to the next. So, like, based off basically guys, whatever 50% of the minutes from one year to the next year, you had 50% of that still, right? Whether in the 50% that left was, graduation and maybe the odd transfer, right? Now that number, and by the way, even before that, it was like 60, 70%. If you go back 10 years, 15 years, now the number's 25, right? Like, the average team retains 25% of their minutes. And when you look at minutes continuity on KenPom and you look at the teams with the highest minutes continuity, I mean, the best example of that is Miami of Ohio. That's a team that, had huge minutes continuity from last year to the next, and almost basically from 2 years ago till now. This has been kind of 3 years in the making for them. But also, you kind of look down the top 10. It's not littered with great programs. It's not littered with the best programs in the country. But what it is littered with is teams with high minutes continuity that are punching above their weight, where they exceeded their preseason projections, where they produced a team that was above their historical standard. Like, you just see that kind of over and over again. And so, my thought was, okay, well, maybe next year, I mean, even if, I just don't think most of these guys are going to be super desirable to other programs. I don't think there's going to be a ton of turnover. I could see, obviously, Ace gone. I could see ND maybe. I could see Favors, definitely if he really wanted to. But I kind of looked at the rest of the roster and I thought, yeah, probably those guys are all back. And then, of course, now we're like, who knows? So I don't know. It would be nice if there was some, but because I just don't trust, you mentioned trust in Dave. Like, I don't trust that he can flip the roster and make it better. Like, we saw him flip the roster this year and the team was worse. So that doesn't inspire confidence that he's going to be able to go out, rebuild the entire roster, having learned things, supposedly from this year. I don't see that. And that's kind of a shitty way to kind of approach next year, is like going into it thinking, already assuming that maybe that's probably not going to work.
Yeah, going and assuming that you're going to be one of the bottom like 3 teams in this
Yeah.
new Pac-12, where you would
Where
have
the top
loved
6
to,
teams are going to be pretty good.
yeah, where you would have loved to come into it and be one of those top
Mhm.
teams, and like we're expecting the football team to be. And now, given that Kirby Moore doesn't have a history that we could trust, but we saw the players he brought in, and we're
Yes.
pretty impressed with them.
Yes.
And they're going to be playing some simulated football and practicing, starting
Sorta.
as people are listening to this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. First day of
So
practice. So
spring ball is
this is Wednesday
starting.
night. First practice on Thursday.
Yep. And so Jeff, let's do our Jeff and Craig never care about spring ball spring preview.
Craig, there will be practices.
Practices will happen.
In those practices, there will be footballs.
Footballs will be used.
Footballs will be thrown. I can guarantee that.
Thrown.
They will be
By
thrown.
quarterbacks mostly.
Yes, by most of the time by quarterbacks. Let's see, what else can we guarantee? There will be players who will be in the best shape of their life.
Best shape of their life.
Yes, there will be players who have gained only good weight since last
Only
season
good
ended.
weight. Nothing
Right?
but
Like
muscle.
we're going to talk about grade A beef there on the lines and how they
The Hogs.
really hit the training tip. We're going to analyze that spring roster. We're going to take a look at who added weight and who didn't. Let's see, what else can we guarantee? Oh, we'll guarantee that somebody is going to look really good in spring football that we're never going to hear from again.
Never again.
That's a guarantee. The Andre Lintz Memorial Award, not memorial, he's not dead, but you know what I mean. The Andre, well, maybe memorial works, like in memory of his career
That's
that never
amazing.
really
First
never
spring
really got
ball
off the
with
ground.
Leach.
Yes,
Leach was going to use tight ends.
Leach swore he was going to use a tight end, and then that lasted about never. And that was what we got of it. Like we joke, right? We joke because honestly, it's tough to know. Like it's, again, NIL transfers, all that stuff. It's that that's the world that we're in, which is a lot different than the world we were in, where we could look at the roster from the previous year and we could be like, cool, man, I'm so excited to see, like, for example, Frankie Louvu, right? Like, let's go see, this guy was pretty good. And then, oh shit, look at Frankie Louvu. He's amazing. Like, or Anthony Gordon or whatever. Like, we had these opportunities to see guys who we already knew. I will say, obviously, most of the offense, we talked about this, obviously, back when, but most of the offense stuck around. New quarterback. So obviously really excited to see that. It does seem like, I was listening to the Cougar Prowl podcast. We'll give those guys a plug because Jamie's a good friend of ours. And then with Greg Woods also, they were talking today. I was listening to that. They were talking about how already the program is much more accessible under Kirby Moore, which is not a shock. I mean, this is a guy who came from, environments maybe bigger time than where Jimmy Rogers came from. And, Jimmy is whatever, he's a psycho, but it's like he came from South Dakota State where, it's the only show in town and you run the show and everybody just obeys what you do. And, that's just how it rolls. So there was almost no access at all during spring practice last year to players, to practices.
Yep.
Nobody could attend, things like that. So this year things are seemingly much more open. So I'm excited. Hopefully there will be some video. We can look at some video, get unreasonably hyped about our new quarterback. It sounds like, obviously we're pointing towards, Pinnock winning the job just as the transfer. But you got Eshelman, who redshirted last year. Maybe he shows something. I will be excited to see. I no lie, no no shade, nothing. Like I will be excited to see if they do show some offensive highlights and we actually do get to see some of that kind of stuff. I will be highly curious and interested to see about that.
Yeah, and just obviously seeing Greg and Jamie be able to, for the spokesman, Greg for the spokesman, Jamie for Coug fan, be able to actually cover the practices and report and see things and ask questions and all that. So it should be, sounds like it should be a more interesting spring ball to follow.
Yes.
And so, yeah, but obviously you pointed out the quarterback is going to be a big, thing to watch. That's going to be the highlight. But the defense, it's always hard to judge. It's like, is the offense bad or is the defense good or is it both or we don't know.
Well, like I always, every year when we worked at Cougs Center, every year I would post the old every day must be Saturday story about spring practices where it's like, the internal struggle of, does this mean our offense is good and our defense is bad, or does it mean our offense is bad and our defense is good, or the existential crisis that comes from trying to figure that shit out, which my recommended plan is don't try to figure that shit out. Just watch individual players and just think like, because honestly, the number one thing that I think holds true is that if a guy pops during practice, like there's probably a reason. Like, I mean, we can go back through the years, coaches will be like, oh, this guy's doing a great job. We really like what this guy's doing. But if you don't notice him, just whatever. But when a guy pops, we talk about Frankie Luvu, we talk, Anthony Gordon, just, we all thought Gage Gabrud was going to be the starter. And then Anthony Gordon went out and threw, 50 dots in the spring game. Like, if a guy pops, trust your eyes. I think that's kind of the big thing is, and with a whole bunch of guys we don't know, like, yeah, look for the guys who jump off the screen a little bit. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep. And we will come talk about it once a week. But obviously go ahead and give Jamie and Greg a follow for that. Jamie is in our podcast Slack.
Yes.
And
spends a lot of time hanging out there.
And he enjoys talking Cougs with us. So if you are interested in a premium podcast versus everyone subscription, one of the two guys that are going to be daily reporting on spring football is in our podcast Slack chat. So, and he is involved. Sorry, Jamie, we're calling you out, but you're in there.
He loves
pretty
chat.
obvious once you're in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just a little plug for the premium subscription, which we always forget to do until the end.
Yeah, when 5 people are still listening.
So Jeff, spring ball, woo, yeah,
woo, spring ball.
So curious though, as you're celebrating the eve of spring ball, what are you drinking?
Yeah, well, as we know, like I've talked about in the last couple shows, I went to Hood River, so I went downstairs and grabbed one of these bad boys, which is a bourbon barrel imperial stout from Freem. This is their it's their 2024.
They always have the most unique beer names.
Yes, they are named exactly what they are.
So what style of beer is that, Jeff? Bourbon barrel imperial stout. What style of beer is it?
It's a bourbon barrel imperial stout.
Oh, they really masked that one.
I know. I actually kind of love the bit though, that like there are no creative names. Like it is just, here is what this beer is.
West Coast IPA.
Yes.
Hazy IPA.
Yes.
Pilsner.
Yes. I will say the one that I swear to God, I'm going to bring to you eventually. It is called Crush IPA. It actually does have Crush with a K. Like it actually has a name. But the rest of these, of course, is like, I do think also it's like a testament to like just their quality.
Can I tell you something though, Jeff?
Yeah. Is that actually a style?
Crush is a type of hops.
Okay.
So it's probably a single hop Crush IPA.
All right, there we go. See, I learned something new.
so
But
it's still on brand.
yeah, I just think like it's a testament to like not just like the quality that they do, but the confidence in their quality. They're just like,
Yeah,
we're not
this
trying
is
to
the
we're
type
not
of
trying to
beer.
trick you and sell you a fancy name. Like this is just what it fucking is. Like
And
you want a bourbon
every
barrel aged stout? Here's one.
every can and bottle, it's the big Freem logo and a small
Little ribbon.
beer name.
Little ribbon across the top.
Yeah,
as
you
I'm
can't
holding up to
even.
the
I
camera.
can't even read it.
I
But
know you can't read it because it's kind of shining off the light, but yeah, you
Yeah.
know, just a little ribbon across the top. But anyway, yeah, it is delicious. Definitely. I like to drink. This one said to drink it at like 45 to 50. I did it warmer than that. It was like 60. It was out in my garage.
yeah, I like
But I tend to like them about that anyway. Just for me. Definitely a lot of cherry here. So love that. That's kind of one of my favorite flavors in a stout. Is a little bit of cherry. So yeah, really, really good. Super excellent beer. I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm still not done with it. Normally I'm done with the beer by now, but kind of savoring it. So what about you, buddy?
Well, I had no intention of doing like a themed beer. I just pulled a beer from the cellar, and it's a beer that I got when I lived in Olympia, which has not been since August of 2017.
Yeah, been a while.
So this was actually bottled in August of 2016. It is Calloused Heart mixed fermentation grisette.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of our conversation around the Sonics today, which
Yes.
hell yeah.
Yes.
We just need some CD billionaire to drop, or a group of CD billionaires to drop
Yeah.
$10 billion, and then we'll have a team in Seattle again.
No big deal.
Also, shout out to Howard Schultz, who sold the team for $350 million in 2007.
Yeah, brilliant businessman, that guy.
And now it's worth, an NBA franchise is worth more than he's probably worth. Like
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, like I think he's but way to go, excellent businessman.
Such a
just
dumb shit.
just amazing business, giving up. Yeah,
Yeah.
good job. Anyway,
Wonderful.
so speaking of that, I was thinking like I made this comment in that thread, like so much shit had to happen for that to happen. Like so many bad
Mhm.
players, or so many just negligent players.
So many people operating in bad faith.
Yeah.
Like
Or just
so many people had to screw
Yeah,
up.
like it just had to happen that way. And then uh Keith in our Slack goes, "Are you talking about the Pac-12?" And it was just like, oh my god, like
God
it's
damn
happened
it.
twice.
I
It's
know.
happened twice. So it's probably made me a little cynical, and
Maybe a little.
and
A
so
little.
maybe I have a bit of a calloused heart,
Maybe.
Jeff.
Just a little.
So I thought it fits, and I love a grisette. It's like a baby saison, essentially. You know, it's very light, very crushable, a little funky on the aroma. It's been sitting in there for 10 years with its with all the goodness in there. Very
Mhm.
crushable after 10 years, still very tasty. So good job, 3 Magnets. Way back in the day, I think it probably was another Jeff, who's now the head brewer at SIG, that probably brewed that
Yes.
beer.
Yep.
But very tasty. And I can't believe I've had it for that long. Yeah, a little dust on the bottle. But yeah, very tasty. And yeah, Calloused Heart sports fan over here. Who knows why? But hey, Jeff, the songs might come back. That's
soups.
cool.
The soups are gonna be back.
The soups.
Yeah,
Like
go ahead.
it's crazy. Like this is the closest. Well, the closest was when we were told that the team was bought and was moving.
Yeah,
And what was
from
that?
Sacramento.
2013.
Yeah.
Chris Hansen had it done, and then it wasn't. So all
It
of
was
us are
done
a
and then it
little
wasn't.
still, little skeptical. And here we are, 13 years later, still waiting. But this
Yeah.
seems very positive. It seems like if someone comes up with the $7 to $10 billion expansion fee, it's gonna happen, and I'm sure that someone will.
Yeah. Not going to be a
And
problem.
so the really positive thing is that they've already picked their markets. They're only targeting Seattle and Las Vegas, and it seems they want both to keep the number of teams even.
Yep.
And so that it's just like we have the most billionaires, right?
Yeah.
Most millionaires and billionaires.
I mean,
Someone's got to take an interest.
They don't go down this road unless they already know that they probably, honestly, they know they're going to have competing bids. Like that's what they really want, right? Like the franchise fee is not set. It's not like they're going like, okay, it's going to cost you $7 billion to buy the franchise. It's going to be like, it's going to cost you. How much would you like to give us? Oh, they're going to give us, would you like to give us more? Oh, they're going to give us more. Would you like to give us more? Like, I mean, they're just going to do that until somebody finally taps out. And so they don't do this unless they know that they're going to have competing bids. They already know both cities have really excellent arenas. So, I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how fast the NBA wants it to happen. But it's cool, man. I'm super excited. I mean, the Sonics, I know this was, I don't know this is necessarily the case for you, but I know like for me, like the Sonics were truly like my first love in terms of like the first team that I really fell in love with. And this was in the 90s, George Karl, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Detlef, Hersey Hawkins, all, Mac 10, like all these guys. Right. And so losing them like truly like broke my heart in a way that like really nothing else ever has. And that includes like the dissolving of the Pac-12. Like at least I still got the Cougs. Like even if we're not in the Pac-12, at least they're still there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was never, ever, ever, ever going to fucking root for Oklahoma City except to root for them to lose. Now I did get to pass the time for a while with Clay, right? Like Clay and the Warriors were so good. That was kind of fun. Still not my team. Still not the Supersonics.
It would be when they would. It'd be fun when they won, and then we'd lose. You'd be like,
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
Like,
and and then just not having a hometown team just means you don't really follow it the same, and so
yeah, exactly.
So I am just I'm over the moon.
I always
joke
happen. That we'd be like NBA Twitter, NBA blogger guys if
Probably.
the Sonics would have stayed around.
Yeah, maybe that's entirely possible. Like I don't know. They just, like I said, they were really my first love. I mean, the Mariners, like I liked the Mariners when I was growing up, but it really was all about the Sonics, man. I loved the Sonics. I loved those teams. They were appointment viewing for me. They were fun. They were exciting. They were us. I had the the Rain Man poster, right? The Kostakos brothers Rain Man poster, where he's dunking in the rain.
Yeah,
and
I had the one when Peyton is dunking and in the finals and Jordan's behind him.
Yeah.
That actually covered up a hole in my wall my parents didn't know about until we moved out.
Oops. That's okay. He's not listening to this anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, but my mom knows that story. They knew that story because when we moved out,
they found it when you moved out.
Take the poster down.
Whoops.
But yeah, like the Sonics were absolutely the same. My first love, my first sports love. It hurts so bad. It still hurts that they left.
Yeah.
I have so much Sonics gear still and still continue to buy it. And I talk about them. I a few years ago, my wife who just couldn't figure something out to buy for Christmas, so I asked for a pair of Kemp Reeboks, and she's like, "These are so ugly," and it like literally hurt my feelings when she said that, and I was like, and I had to explain to her why I liked them so much, and she felt so bad.
Was it the ones with the pumps on it?
Well, no, the ones with the kind of zigzag.
Okay.
They're like the 96 version. They have a little bit of like of the green and that red on them.
It's an unfortunate color.
And I tore my Achilles not long after I got them. I've never actually worn them to play basketball because I haven't really played basketball since I tore my Achilles.
You can just wear them around the house.
Yeah, I have done that a couple times. But and I'm not really a basketball shoe fashion guy. Like I'm not going to wear them with my my normal clothes.
Yeah.
But I have them. But yeah, in I remember 5th grade. That would have been um kind of when they were at the peak of their powers. I had like
Yeah.
a Sean Kemp shrine in my locker.
Yeah.
And Sean Kemp was definitely like my favorite basketball
Oh
player
yeah.
of all time, my favorite athlete of all time. I think my really first memories is that the playoff run um, in '93 that ended with Charles Barkley shooting 40,000 free throws.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
believe
then
that's actually close to the accurate number.
yeah, and then and then the heartbreak of the next year
Yep.
when
Yep.
Jordan was
That
not
is
in
one
the
of those,
league.
if you're a
And
Sonics fan, that is one of those where you remember where you were. Like you were like, I was here. Like I was at I was actually at a jazz festival at Central Washington University. Our jazz band was playing there, but we were listening on the radio.
yeah,
Listen to the end of the game, and yeah. So I remember
I
that. I
was with
remember just
my family and
disbelief.
we were in, I think my dad was just trying to avoid it. Like, I think he was just so stressed. We were in Red Robin, and um, I was watching the game in the bar TV in the
Yeah.
old Yakima Red Robin, which was one of the original Red Robins that
Mm-hmm.
had the big
Mm-hmm.
lounge in it. And,
Yep.
when Red Robin was actually cool, not just the whatever, like, fast food restaurant it is now,
Yeah.
which I still go to sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh,
We
but
had it
I
tonight.
was just like, well, I had it on. I had it playing on in headphones on a radio while we're sitting there
Yeah.
eating food,
Yeah.
and then I was watching it on the TV, and it was just heartbreaking. Like, it was probably my first true sports heartbreak. I was
Yeah,
9,
I would say
and
me
so
too. I mean,
yeah,
I was older than that. I was, I don't know, sophomore or whatever, but like same thing. Like truly my first like major sports heartbreak for
and it's
sure.
still, you never get over it because, like, they should have won the title that year.
Well,
It's
and it
like,
felt, yeah, I mean, it felt like up until that point it was impossible to lose as a
yeah.
1 seed. Like it just I mean, it's impossible. It doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden it happens, and but then, a couple of years later, you go to the finals and like put up maybe, I don't know, like I'm not a Chicago Bulls fan, but to my recollection that was about the best fight that anybody put up in any of those
Yeah.
6 title. I guess the Jazz
I'd
did
say
one
the
year. Yeah.
Jazz,
The
the Jazz
Jazz took
were
them to game did they
6,
go to game
but
7? It was
they
game
took him.
6, but
No, they took him game 6, but I think the Jazz were up in one of those series, and
yeah.
um,
So it's probably
uh,
those two, right? The Jazz
yeah.
that 1 year and then us.
But yeah, that
So
was Michael's like 72 win team
yeah.
that the Sonics faced, and
Yeah.
Sean Kemp had just an insane playoffs that year. I still think that series goes to 7. Sonics might win if Peyton is on Jordan the whole
Peyton on
time.
Jordan. Don't tell Mike that. Don't tell Mike that. Gary Payton. That was my favorite part of that whole Last Dance docuseries there that they did, was when someone suggested to Michael Jordan that Gary Payton might have been able to slow him down, and he was just like he was so just like unbelievably offended at the mere suggestion that Gary Payton of all fucking people could hold him down. And it was like, I don't know, man. I watched the series. The real key to that series, as we all know, was actually Ron Harper. That was the key to the series. When Ron Harper played, when Ron Harper didn't play, that's what anyway, that's whatever.
But yeah, and then I also remember where I was when they won game 7 that year.
Yeah.
I was at like a summer AAU ball practice, and we came out from practice and listened on the radio in one of the cars, and just like cranked up the radio and all sat around the car radio and listened to it.
Yeah. I can't wait. I hope
I'd love to be able to have some more NBA playoffs memories, NBA
make some of those memories with
memories.
our children. That'll be great.
Yes.
You
Go
know.
to a game.
Yeah.
I went I went to the last Sonics home game in Seattle. So would love to do that
Yeah.
again.
I don't think I'm gonna make it in for the first game.
No,
But
I don't think I am wealthy enough for that.
I'm just guessing that that's gonna be that's gonna be a no-go. But
It's kind of like how we decided we are not going to the
to the World
U.S.
Cup, yeah, we're not going to the
U.S.
U.S. game in the
Men's
World Cup.
Cup game.
Yep.
Just, you got to make a financial decision there.
Yeah, that is.
Subscribe to the
sometimes-
podcast and Jeff and Craig
Yes.
to
That is
fun
true.
sporting
Like,
events.
if we could get like, I don't know, another 300 or 400 of you to subscribe Craig and I
Probably a few more than that.
might be able to go to that game. But no, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Again, super excited, super thrilled. It's going to be real hard waiting. Hopefully they do it on the fast track. There was the initial reporting sort of said they were going to go fast track. Yeah. And if that's the case, I mean, that's pretty damn
2
fast.
years, man.
So that gives you enough. What that does is, even though it's a couple of years, you're able to kind of follow the development of the creation of the franchise and sort of all the people they put in place and drafts and whatever. So so you can follow all that. That'll be great. I hope they don't drag their feet on it. That would definitely piss me off, but I wouldn't put anything.
I'm already
past them
old
either.
enough. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in my 50s by the time the team actually takes the floor again. So, but all they got to do, I mean, we know this. First of all, it's got to be green and gold, and whatever they do,
Yes.
it's got to riff on. It's got to be, their uniforms got to riff on the original. They're not the originals, but they are the ones that they are most well known for, that they wore throughout the late 70s,
the
and
ones
the 80s, and
the
the
ones
early
the
90s.
Cougs this year.
Yep, the Cougs emulated.
Mimicked.
Yep.
Yeah, those are definitely what they got to be.
Yeah.
Not.
Yep.
Even though they were very successful, not the mid to late 90s ones. Not the burgundy and
the pine and wine.
Terrible.
I know. And we got people in our Slack who are like, those are good, actually. Sorry, guys, you're wrong. Green and gold only.
I love the green and gold. It also just it's let's have like a Seattle sports team doesn't have blue in their colors for like one time,
yes.
for the sake of my wardrobe.
Yes.
Consistency. Like
I've already been, in anticipation of this, I've already been adding Sonic stuff. Like I got a couple of Sonics hats. I got a Sonics hoodie. Like we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna add pieces here and there.
I've been tracking down hats for years.
Yep.
It was for a while they weren't being produced because only Mitchell and because I like the new era fitted, and so Mitchell and Ness had rights to any logos that weren't current teams, and New Era only had rights to produce themselves current teams. And so you go to look at the secondary providers like Hat Club and things like that, and the Sonics ones would just sell out so fast.
Yeah.
I bought this one. It's black and red, has a red bill, the Sonics kind of 70s cursive logo with the star. And then it has the city skyline logo on the back. And I love that because it doesn't have an NBA logo on it. Like I hate when like it doesn't. The only thing that works for her is baseball. Like everything else, I hate when the Seahawks or the NFL logos on the back.
Yes.
And I don't like the NBA logo on the back. Although I do have this vintage, not vintage, but it's definitely from the early 90s. Amanda got me this Sonics hat. And it has this older NBA logo that's just like a basketball on it. And I like that one. But so I have a few I've accumulated. You got me that slime one that I like.
It's like a stylized,
the neon slime one.
Yeah.
That's a Mitchell and Ness.
Yeah.
I definitely have been hunting down as many fitteds when I was in my peak fitted hunting thing. But now I'm getting ads for ones all the time.
Yeah.
And every time I click, they're sold out. They're sold out. Like, that one's cool.
Yeah.
It's sold out. But
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna probably be buying more Sonic stuff.
Yeah. Gotta do whatever they do. The logo's got to be the skyline. Color's got to be green and gold. and then figure out a way. If you want to update the, you know, the ARC jersey, you want to update it or something, fine, but keep that style, man. Like bring them home, baby, bring them home. Super excited.
Bring them home, and then we would never have to hear again about how OKC went to the finals in 1996, or OKC has been to this many playoffs when like ESPN or whatever like puts their stats up. It's like no,
God.
like and because obviously that there was an agreement that they would give the history back if they got it in the first 5 years a team. I don't think OKC wants that. They're just going to give it back. Like they don't. They
Not
have
at
their
this
own
point.
history now. Unfortunately,
Yes, they do now. 20 fucking years, man. At this point.
Yeah. But yeah, Sonics coming back.
Yes.
Yay, Jeff.
Hey,
I don't. The baseball team.
I was gonna say, do you want a baseball update?
No, I got it, dude. So when Jeff and I started the podcast, I pessimistically said, "Oh, they're gonna lose." It was 10-8. Gonzaga was up 10-8 in the bottom of the seventh. They had a couple
heading
guys
into the
on.
bottom of the seventh.
And then I just I clicked back to the to the game tracker here, and the game finished 19-8 Gonzaga.
And by the way, it didn't just finish 19-8. So it was 10-8 heading into the bottom of the seventh, right? Like as you just said.
Yep, and then
it finished 19-8 in the bottom of the seventh.
They mercy ruled it.
They mercy ruled us with a 9 spot in the bottom of the seventh. Not a huge, like, whatever. Like that shit happens, especially midweek games. Like those are weird. We play a lot of midweek games against Gonzaga. We seem to always lose them. So maybe they're not that weird. Maybe they're just weird for us. But you know, our bullpen already, as we know this season, is sort of like a weak spot, which, you know, evergreen, right? Like that's a
evergreen.
That it's been an ongoing issue. But I think the important thing, at least, you know, for me, is like maybe not let that take away from the fact that the team is actually playing pretty okay, and they're they're better than
league.
What's that?
Especially in the Mountain West.
Yeah, I mean they're better than they've been. They're 10-13 overall, which still isn't great, but they're 4-2 in conference so far. You know, coming off, let's see, hold on, sweeping Grand Canyon, you know, last weekend, which is great. You know, before that, you know, dropped 2 out of 3 to San Diego State, but, you know, they were competitive, at least in that. And that was on the road. And as they typically do, by the way, play a shit ton of games on the road at the beginning of the season. So we're finally getting back into playing some home games. You know, they, after playing Gonzaga tonight, they're back home this weekend against Nevada. And then a midweek game against Seattle U over there before heading back out on the road to San Jose State. So, yeah, good opportunity to pick up some wins this weekend as well at home. Games are on the Mountain West Network if you want to watch them, since we're playing in the Mountain West for another year. One more season.
Yeah. This will be the last year of Mountain West baseball before we go back to Pac-12 baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely seems like the team seems better than last year. Still some issues. Seem to hit better. And maybe some upfront pitching a little better. But obviously, yeah, you give up 9 runs in the 7th inning and lose the game.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
But yeah, just the series against Nevada this weekend. I've tried to navigate their website here. It's even worse than ours, even though it seems like it's built on the same thing. Just trying to see how, whatever. But Nevada, good, bad? You tell me. I don't know.
Let's say they're amazing.
They're amazing.
Let's go sweep them. Let's go sweep an amazing team.
Nevada, number 1 team in the world.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's true.
The Venezuelan team came and played Nevada right after the WBC, and Nevada won. So
Nevada won.
Number 1 team in the world.
Yes, exactly.
That did not happen. That was a joke. But anyway, so Jeff, I didn't think we'd have anything to talk about. We are an hour and 20 minutes in.
We always got shit to talk about, man.
We are sickos. And yeah, but
Well, this is the part where I'm supposed to start playing the outro music.
I know.
huh?
I was like waiting for the
Okay,
the
hold
music.
on. Outro music. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
It'll
Everyone's like,
fade in quiet
click,
though. Like
click,
you won't
click,
really
click,
hear it
click.
at first. It's gonna kind of come in here. You'll see, faintly, and then you'll see there it is.
But
Here.
you know, Jeff, we do have to say, go fucking Cougs.
Yeah, we say go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. If you're still not, just do it.
Do that. Support a union.
Support unions.
Yeah.
Don't support this administration.
No.
Don't support all of this bullshit.
Let's
Free
stop.
Palestine.
Let's stop bombing innocent people. That'd be great.
Yep. Fuck ICE.
Fucking awesome.
All that stuff.
Abolish ICE and everything else that goes along with that.